Hey everyone, and welcome to Mrs. Crop's classroom. Today we're going to talk about haikus, so stick around. So when you look at a haiku, the first thing that you want to focus on is form. There are 3 lines in a haiku. The first line is 5 syllables, the second line is 7 syllables, and the third line is 5 syllables again. So again, you're going to go 5, 7, 5, and that's it. Haikus are short and sweet, but that doesn't mean that they can't pack a punch. Now understand that many famous haikus were written in Japanese. So when you translate them, they don't always translate with the right syllable count. That doesn't mean that you found some special haiku that doesn't follow the form. It just means that it was a translated haiku, and we are reading the most accurate translation of the poem. When you write them in the language that you are speaking, you want to make sure that you're sticking to your form, because haikus are hugely focused on form. It is all about what little is said and what the author really means by this very small amount of text. Haikus usually take the form of the world around you, so we're talking natural elements like the wind or trees or insects or water. But as time has progressed, some writers have used the form of the haiku to draw or pull upon more pressing issues within society. So some of our more modern haikus can be about violence or about racial issues or about city life. And they're still going to focus on the natural elements, but instead of talking about trees or the wind, they might be talking about litter or the smog in the air. And either way, they're beautiful and very powerful poems. Check out this one. So let's look at this very popular poem from a writer named Basho. Autumn moonlight, a worm digs silently into the chestnut. So right off the bat, we can automatically see our natural elements. And we're looking at the autumn time. It's moonlight, meaning it is dark outside. And we're talking about a worm digging silently into the chestnut. Chestnut being a small piece of wood, probably, maybe a root. We don't really know, but we are just looking. This is what is explicitly stated in this poem. However, the whole poem brings about lots of connotations for the reader. Automatically, you are sitting in autumn, outside, in the darkness. You're feeling the autumn breeze. You're possibly relaxed because in this setting, you're not rushing off to work or rushing home. And another thing that makes a reader realize that we are looking for a more calm or relaxed state is the worm. We have a worm who is digging silently. This poem is not about anybody else. This poem is about the significance of an insignificant creature at any given time. So for us to pause and quiet ourselves in our own lives and our own desires enough to be conscientious of the worm and the worm's effort, you have to really take a step back, and you have to pause, and you have to relax, and you have to let yourself really think about this poem that has given the smallest of creatures a significance in an author's work. This worm is now our main character in this poem, and the thing that has the significance. And therefore, on a really grand scale, you can think about this poem and realize that this is really talking about the insignificance of all of ourselves. To the worm, we are insignificant, just like the worm is insignificant to us. We're going to look at a second example here. This one was written in English, so I can be a little bit more focused on showing you what the structure is. Our title, of course, is January. Not all haikus have titles, but the closer we get to today, people like to give their haikus titles. Delightful display. This right here is 5 syllables. Delightful display. Okay? Snowdrops bow their pure white heads. Here, again, we have our 7 syllables. And then the last line, to the sun's glory. 5 more syllables. So it's wonderfully structured, and more importantly, obviously it was written in English, so it's going to match up, okay? So looking at what this haiku is actually meaning, we're going to look at, again, the time in nature, our nature or natural elements from the poem. Here it's obviously winter because we're talking about snowdrops. Okay, we're talking about January, that's the title, and it's a snowy setting, so it's somewhere where it gets nice and cold. And not only is it cold, but it's not a negative and upsetting version of cold weather and dreariness, but it's delightful. We are in a delightful display of snowdrops. And we're talking about pure white heads, okay? So this is a very pleasant and uplifting and happy version of wintertime. And then the last line to cut it all off here, to the sun's glory. So we have some really good juxtaposition here between our snowdrops and our sun. So it's a delightful display because we have a sunshiny day over a snowy field. So it's going to be a play. It's going to be how a lot of people feel when they wake up and it has just snowed, but the sky is blue and bright and happy, and the light is so bright and blinding. If you've never seen the light bounce off of snow before, I'm going to tell you, it is like light off a diamond, and it's everywhere. So this is what this haiku is really bringing up in my mind when I'm looking at things like delightful displays and sun's glory and the pure white heads of the snowdrops, okay? So again, you want to look at the haiku on a secondary level. So what is behind the words that the author is able to put down? Because in poems that are so short, like haikus, you know that the author has a deeper meaning behind what they are writing down. I hope these two examples of me going through some haikus really helped you out. Please check out our resources on TPT. We've got some wonderful things out there for haikus. Check us out next week.